G'day guys, Fitcho here, and today we're going to be driving Formula 3 cars at the Pau Street Circuit here in France. Now, just last weekend, the European Formula 3 season did come to an end with Mick Schumacher actually taking the title, which is really cool to see, and all of a sudden a whole lot of Formula 1 fans that I know never really follow junior categories, and especially not Formula 3, suddenly come out of the woodworks and talk about how cool it is that Mick's winning, and how they want to see him jump up into Formula 1 straight away after actively bashing Lance Stroll as a paid driver, who won the Formula 3 championship in the same team in more dominant fashion only 2 years ago before jumping up into Formula 1. But anyway, let's gloss over that fact. We're here to drive Formula 3 cars, and I thought Pau seemed like a good place to drive it. Obviously a classic Formula 3 venue, and with the current state of European Formula 3, we might not see the Pau Grand Prix anymore. You might not see Formula 3 cars running around these streets much longer. Of course, the current FIA Formula 3, European Formula 3 that is, the current championship that we know and love, is now over. It is finished, and now they're converting GP3 into a new international F3 series, and the rights for a regional European series are all over the place. Previously, this series has mostly been supporting DTM, but they've now come out and announced they are running a Formula 3 series with these cars that isn't backed by the FA at every single DTM round. Formula Renault have now moved their brand new chassis built by Tatus under the new Formula 3 regional regulations, and the FA have also given rights to the Italian Automobile Club to run a European Formula 3 season series next year. So it's an absolute mess, and through all of this mess, we might actually see the end of Pau. Hopefully we don't, but there is that possibility. But nonetheless, it seemed like a good excuse to drive these awesome cars around this awesome track and just have a whole lot of fun. Now, unfortunately, in the RSR mod, the 2017 or 2018 style cars, they weren't really working around this track, so I've had to go back to the F3 2012 chassis, which is mostly 2014 and 2015 drivers in this field. If you look at the list, I'm sure you guys are going to recognize a lot of names, especially if you're not up to date with Formula 3, like Charles Leclerc in the Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll, Max Verstappen, Pierre Gasly. You're going to recognize all those names, all jumping up into Formula 1 now, and Antonio Giovinazzi next year, so that might actually work better, but nonetheless, Formula 3 cars at Pau, it is a lot of fun. We're going to be starting right at the back of this field, and we are driving Max Verstappen Van Amersfoort car, but there is another Max Verstappen in the field because he's got two liveries because he joined the Red Bull Academy halfway through the Formula 3 season. But nonetheless, let's get into this 5-lap race. And quickly before we do, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe. Here we go, we're on the grid at Pau, right at the back. Now this is a modded track with modded cars with Assetto Corsa AI, so just bear with me through this start sequence because they are a little bit slow. And as lights out and away we go, let's just try to pick a gap through here and onto the Pau we do go, and now it should open up and we can go to some normal racing as 3 wide through that kink. Really, oh my god, there was a car flipping in the background. Not a good start to this race, but damage is off because Assetto Corsa AI on a street circuit, I didn't really fancy dealing with that. So we are unscathed, our car is in perfect condition, and we are now on the back of Esteban Ocon, and we're going to look up the inside of his Prima down into turn number 3, his Lotus branded Prima at that, and we get that move done up into 6th places. Now we set our sights on Alessio Lorandi through the slowest corner on this Pau circuit, and now we open up into one of the fastest parts of this track through this left-hander, and then we're going to hit this bump, and then you have to jump onto the brakes and into this long right-hander. Now, about where the advertising board starts, you want to brake, try to hold the car to the right to open up this little chicane. Something the AI don't do very well is now into this long left-hander, a little bit off camber, and now down into another hairpin. This one sort of downhill, not the nicest corner in the world. We have a quick little chicane through here. Oh, Alessio Lorandi's getting caught up on the roadside curbs just a little bit, and that is not something you want to do at all. And through that final chicane, he gets a shocking line, and we ease past him. It's through the dog leg and out onto the pit straight we do go. The roadside curbs around Pau are really deadly in this mod, as it looks like Maney is looking up the inside of Charles Leclerc down into turn number 1. I am understeering way wide at turn number 2, and Alessio Lorandi is looking back up our inside side by side with the Van Amersfoort car, and it looks like his car's bouncing around a little bit, possibly caught up on those curbs. There's a bit of contact into turn number 3. He's not leaving us much room at all, and now he's going to get the inside line as we head up into the hairpin. Can I hold it around the outside, the back end coming away from us just a little bit? And can we sneak back up the inside into this fast left-hander? We're going to have to lift down a little bit. It's normally flat. And we can stick our nose in there. Oh, he's understeered into us a little bit. Contact. We're into the wall. But thankfully, damage is off as he is bouncing over the curbs down into the chicane. We do go. We're going to take a fair bit of curb, trying to get to his outside through this long left-hander. It looks like the Randy has taken that position back. If this was real life, we'd be both out of the Grand Prix, I think. With that kind of racing with the walls, we're going to not worry about that too much. It's now in to this final chicane. Oh, the Randy, he's clipped the wall and he's gotten very, very wide there, and we've somehow snuck through and avoided him and up into, I think that is 5th place. We do finally go as onto the 3rd lap of 5. We do go at Pau. Mental racing there with Alessio Lorandi, and we're setting our sights on Arjun Maini up in 4th place, who's right on the back of Charles Leclerc. Of course, Ferrari bound next year in Formula 1, and then is Fuoco in 2nd, a Ferrari Driver Academy driver racing for Charouz in Formula 2, and then Antonio Giovinazzi is leading this Pau Grand Prix right now, who's going to be replacing Charles Leclerc in that Sauber seat. As through the hairpin we go, we are starting to close up on that top 4. It's going to be a real task for us to get past 4 cars in the amount of laps that we do have left around this Pau circuit, because there really aren't many overtaking opportunities around this track. It's awesome to drive, but racing wise there just isn't that much on offer, that is for certain, as we are starting to close in on the Trident driver, or the current Trident driver. He's driving a Van Amersfoort car, I believe it is, here in Formula 3, Arjun Maini. Ooh, we had a little bit of a moment there on the powers. I was a little bit distracted by the Indian having his own moment. We get a nice run through that final chicane. Can we look up his inside through the little kink and out onto the pit straight? We should be able to find our way past Arjun Maini and up into 4th place as we start the penultimate lap here at Pau, and we do get that move done, I do believe, hard on the brakes. It looks like Fuoco and Giovinazzi are going hard at it over the lead of this Grand Prix. We have 2 Ferrari Driver Academy drivers, yes, that is correct, followed by, well, an ex-Ferrari Driver Academy driver and now a Ferrari driver there in 3rd place. So it shows that the junior system really does work quite well with Formula 3. So much talent coming through here as we're going to dive up the inside of Leclerc, and we've understeered a little bit. I think we understeered. I'm not too sure if that was my fault or not. We'll go with it's my fault. It's easier to blame it on myself. And the AIs, there was cars all over the place. They are mounting each other. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, that's Lance Stroll. He's coming straight back at us now. He's pushing. I'm not pressing any pedals. He is accelerating me backwards down the circuit, and he's flicked himself into a wall. That is mental. That is, I guess, what happens with the Assetto Corsa AI. They aren't exactly the best AI in the world, to be honest. That said, the mods, the tracks, the cars available do make Assetto Corsa an absolute pleasure to drive, and I'd say we're not going to win this Pau Grand Prix with what has happened there, but we're not too stressed about that. This race has been a fair bit of fun, especially the racing we did have. Ooh, we've gone a little bit deep. With Alessio Lorandi, I do believe it was a bit over-aggressive and would have ended up in a crash in real life if damage was on, but we're not too fussed about that. This is Assetto Corsa, so we're here to have a little bit of fun, and now we're out onto the pit straight with 1 lap to go, and let's go for one big hot lap of this epic Pau circuit to end this video. Here we go through the kink at turn number 1, and now we jam onto the brakes from 6th gear all the way down into 2nd. You really have to get the nose in early there because it is a little bit banked right on the inside of the circuit. You want to sort of hook in to that as now through up the hill, I should say, towards turn number 3. It's really hard to pick out a braking zone into this corner, and then back on the power as the track really does open up there, and now into the hairpin, back into 1st gear, throw it in. It is uphill a little bit. The back end can just skate away from you if you're a little bit too aggressive on the steering. And now the fun part, through this left-hander, hold it flat, and then you hit the bump, and then you brake, and down a gear through this long right-hander, and around the advertising board I find is where to brake, and because you are turning, it is better, I find, to blip the throttle. Oh, we've gone a little bit deep through that chicane on those downshifts, or the car will get away from you, and now only a couple more corners to go. This downhill hairpin, I've gone way too deep. Really not the line you want. Now through this fast chicane, and now this final chicane, you can really throw it through here. big risk for a lot of reward through that final chicane, and down to the line we do go to end this 5-lap Pau Grand Prix, and that was a lot of fun. I hope you guys did enjoy that race as the session is over. And here we go, Antonio Giovinazzi actually did win the race, of course, going to be an Alfa Romeo Sauber driver in Formula 1 next year. Antonio Fuoco in second place, Ferrari Driver Academy driver driving for Charouz in F2, Charles Leclerc Ferrari driver next year in Formula 1. So 3 Ferrari Academy drivers essentially there in the top 3. Arjamani, Alessio Lorani, both also competing in F2. Esteban Ocon, where's he going to end up? We really don't know, and unfortunately I don't think it's going to be in Formula 1, although he richly deserves to be there. Felix Rosenqvist, a talent that Formula 1 just turned their nose up at. I really don't understand why, and he's off in Formula E now. Max Verstappen, we all know where he is, and Callum Ilott, who's currently competing in GP3, also a Ferrari Driver Academy driver. And then actually we've got another page here, let's quickly go through all the results. Lance Stroll, of course, with Williams, probably going to Force India with his dad owning the team. One thing I hate about not so much Lance Stroll, but about Formula 1 fandom, there's so much hate towards Lance Stroll for being a paid driver, yet he won this championship with Prima in his second year. I think it was the most dominant Formula 3 season pretty much ever. He won in such convincing fashion. More convincing than Mick Schumacher, and everyone hates him for being in Formula 1 because he's there through money. Yet he does have the talent and the junior Formula resume to validate him being there, and yet Mick Schumacher, he's won it with the same team in his second year in less dominant fashion, and suddenly he's a god's gift and should be in Formula 1. That does annoy me just a little bit. But anyway, enough about that. That's going to do it for this video. If you guys have enjoyed it, make sure you do leave a like. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.